most unexpected way an animal helped you through a tough time? 2 years ago, I was at the lowest point of my life. I was a junior in high school dealing with the worst bullying imaginable, failing grades, and parents too busy with their divorce to notice I was falling apart. The bullying was relentless. This group of popular girls had decided I was their daily target, spreading rumors, knocking my books out of my hands, and making sure I ate lunch alone. I'd come home crying every day, lock myself in my room, and stare at the ceiling. My parents were so wrapped up in their drama that they barely acknowledged I existed. That's when my mom suggested we get a dog. Maybe a pet would help with the stress. We went to the animal shelter, and that's where I met Max. He was this scraggly mutt with mismatched ears and the saddest eyes I'd ever seen. The shelter worker said he'd been returned 3 times because he was too anxious and clingy. Perfect, I thought. An anxious, unwanted dog for an anxious, unwanted girl. The moment we brought Max home, he attached himself to me. He followed me everywhere, slept on my bed, and seemed to sense when I needed comfort. For a few weeks, having Max made things slightly more bearable. At least I had someone genuinely happy to see me. But then came the worst day of my entire high school experience. It was a Friday in November, and the popular girls had outdone themselves. They'd gotten hold of my diary and photocopied pages of it and posted them all over the school hallways. My most private thoughts, my insecurities, my crush, my feelings about my parents' divorce, everything was there for the entire school to read and laugh at. I walked through the hallways, seeing my own handwriting mocking me from every locker. Students were pointing, laughing, and taking pictures. By lunchtime, I couldn't take it anymore. I called my mom sobbing, begging her to pick me up. She was in a meeting and told me to tough it out. I somehow made it through the day, but when I got home, I completely broke down. Full-on panic attack, hyperventilating, couldn't catch my breath. I collapsed on my bedroom floor, gasping for air. That's when Max appeared. Instead of his usual excited greeting, he immediately sensed something was wrong. He came over and laid his entire body across my chest, like a weighted blanket. His warm weight helped slow my breathing, and he stayed there until my panic attack subsided. But he wasn't done helping me. After I calmed down, Max did something he'd never done before. He went to my closet, grabbed one of my shoes, and brought it to me. Then he got the other shoe, then my jacket. It was like he was telling me we needed to go somewhere. I was so emotionally drained that I just followed his lead. I put on my shoes and jacket and let him guide me outside. Max led me on the longest walk we'd ever taken. We walked through the neighborhood, past the park, and eventually ended up at this little hill overlooking the town. We sat there as the sun was setting, and for the first time in months, I felt peaceful. That's when I realized Max had literally walked me away from the worst moment of my life and shown me there was a world outside of my high school drama. Sitting on that hill, I made a decision. I was going to transfer schools. I was going to tell my parents exactly how bad things had gotten. The next Monday, instead of going to school, I stayed home and had the most honest conversation I'd ever had with my parents. I showed them the diary pages, told them about the bullying, and explained how close I'd come to giving up. They were horrified. My mom cried when she realized how badly she'd been neglecting me. Within 2 weeks, I was enrolled at a different school. It was a fresh start where nobody knew about my diary or breakdown. Max continued to be my support system. Every morning before school, he'd sit by the door with me while I worked up courage to face another day. The new school was like stepping into a different universe. The teachers cared, the students were kinder, and I started making real friends. But Max's most incredible moment came 6 months later. I was having a rough day and was sitting on my bed crying when Max disappeared from the room. Minutes later, he came back carrying something. It was a letter I'd never seen before. I took it from him and opened it. Inside was a note from the previous family who had returned Max to the shelter. The letter said, "To whoever adopts Max, this dog has the biggest heart of any animal we've known. He understands when people are sad and always tries to help. We believe he's meant to help people heal." I sat there realizing that Max hadn't just randomly ended up in my life. He was literally a dog whose purpose was helping broken people put themselves back together. Now, 2 years later, I'm a senior with actual friends, decent grades, and college acceptance letters.